Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and I have a fun slider card for you today. This one features the Trinity Stamps Toaster Card die set. This is a huge die set, so you can make this shaped card in the shape of a toaster. What I love is that there aren't a ton of pieces, and so it's not too fiddly to assemble, but at the same time, there's still a lot of detail, and so I love that because it's just so perfect for creating a card front. And besides the toaster in this die set, you also get a shaped mini card in the shape of a slice of toast. So I think it's just so clever that you can have a folded mini card, but I actually did not end up using the mini card as a mini card. I actually just used it as a single slice of toast for my card today because my slider mechanism will be the toast popping up out of this toaster. So I've got pretty much all of the pieces assembled, but I will mention that all of the cardstock that I use for my card today is from Cardstock, and I'll leave links to everything in the description box below, but I'll also leave a link to my blog post, which has step-by-step written instructions in case you prefer written instructions or you like to have the written instructions with the video. I know sometimes for me it's helpful to have both, so that's available on my blog as well if you'd like, and as well links to all of the individual specific colors of cardstock that I used from Cardstock. Now, with the slices of toast, I am just going to ink around the edges just to give them a little bit more of a realistic look and the look that they've actually been toasted, and that your toast is ready to pop up out of the toaster. So I don't mind this being a little bit blotchy because, toast doesn't always, toast evenly. So I think having it a little bit uneven and a little bit splotchy is going to work in favor of the final look. And what's great about this die set is that you get the larger shape for the mini card, which if you die cut it, it even puts the score line in so that it helps you fold it directly in half. And then you get this, which is kind of the middle of your bread, the middle of your piece of toast, which layers perfectly on top so that when you're done, it looks like you have a bit of, the crust all around the borders of this slice of bread. I just really think that detail is just wonderful, and it's a really fun look, and the fact that it can be a little mini card, you can use it in so many different ways. You could use it as a little gift tag if you wanted by itself, or it can be an element on your card like I'm using it today. So with my slider mechanism, I wanted to reinforce this front piece, so I actually cut it out a second time out of some black cardstock. That is strictly to make this front piece a little bit stronger because I want this bit of toast to appear as if it's coming out of the toaster, so it needs to sort of weave or thread itself in between that slot there. And because the top portion of the slot is thin, it's a little bit fragile. So we want to make sure in particular that we reinforce it so that that top portion is nice and strong. Now for our actual slider mechanism, I've already cut out a square, but really it doesn't have to be any particular size. The biggest factor for the size that I cut it down to is, well, one, I was using scrap, so I just used whatever I had on hand. Two, I wanted to maximize the height of this so that the distance that this slice of toast can travel is as great as I can make it based off of the size of this card. And then third, this slider mechanism needs to be completely hidden by the toaster. So you don't want it to be so big that it's visible outside of the borders of the toaster. And then lastly, you don't want it to also be too big to have to not have enough room to apply adhesive so that this can be hidden eventually, because when we're done you won't see this slider mechanism at all. And in order to achieve that, you have to leave enough room surrounding this piece so that the third die cut of the toaster shape can be essentially adhered to the front and sandwich this mechanism and completely hide it in the middle. For the slider mechanism, the way that I commonly like to make them is I just punch out these 3/4 inch circles. I like to punch 2 of them out of a lighter weight cardstock, so 80-pound or less. I fold those 2 in half, and then I glue each of the halves to a third circle. And that third circle, it can be a little bit heavier weight if you'd like. 80-pound or greater would be perfect. And so here you see 3 of them assembled or glued together. So you have 1 full circle at the bottom, 2 folded circles, and each of those folded circles is glued to the full circle only by half of it. So that leaves the other half folded and extended, almost like little legs. So you can look at that as a little bit of like an upside down coffee table, or maybe a brad sort of. So as long as you've got that, then you're good to go. And what I'll do is actually pinch those 2 legs together, slip them through the slider track that I cut, and then glue the 4th circle to the top of that. So now we have a slider mechanism that is free to move up and down that slider track. And I'm just doing a little bit of a dry run here to see how far my toast travels. And I found that if I could actually have it travel a little bit more upwards, that would be great. And I have the room to do that because my slider track there, it's cut into that mechanism, but there's plenty of space above and below it. So I want to just make sure that I still have enough room to have apply adhesive to that mechanism piece. But as I mentioned, it's kind of fun when you can really maximize the amount that is revealed by your mechanism. So I just cut my slot just a smidge taller. This I've cut out of heavyweight cardstock because this will be my pull tab. And if you don't have heavyweight cardstock, then I definitely recommend doubling up on this white cardstock, which is 3/4 of an inch tall. And the width of it will trim down to size when we actually go to install this. But if you have something that's about 4 inches, that should be more than enough. The toaster itself has a die for the little lever, that you would push down in order to push the spring down to start the toaster. And so I've cut that twice, and I've glued that to the end of my pull tab. One of the things that's going to be a fun and slightly different way that this mechanism works is that the slider mechanism is actually going to have 2 ways that it can operate. The first is you can actually just pull the toast up to reveal the message on the toast. And the second is you can actually use the little lever, because I am actually going to attach both of these elements to our slider mechanism. So here I've got some just a small little dot, and I've already made the other two circles that are meant to be the lights on the toaster, the little indicator lights on the toaster. And I've die cut it once out of colored cardstock and a second time out of vellum that I backed with double-sided adhesive. And the reason why I'm attaching a little bit of vellum to this is because I want it to look like, you know how on indicator lights, sometimes they have that frosted plastic look to them? That's the look that I was going for. So I thought the vellum would be a nice touch for making it look a little bit frosted. And then I added some glossy accents. Actually, technically, I used diamond glaze, but you can use whatever you have that will dome up and give you that lovely shine. Now, from the Simply Sentimental Friend stamp set, which does have a coordinating die set as well, I die cut the word friends. And then I am going to stamp and white heat emboss a sub-sentiment below this. And what's great about the Simply Sentimental line of stamp sets is that there's like one key word really where you'll find it large and in multiple styles of font, both in stamps and in die form. And the dies have backer or shadow dies to go with the words as well. And then in the stamp set, you have a lot of sub-sentiments that will combine nicely with that main word. And Trinity Stamps has a lot of these sets. So Friends is the newest in their line of Simply Sentimentals. And they are probably among my favorite stamp and die sets that Trinity does because they are so, so useful. And I know you can get happy birthday. There are some for Christmas as well. Really, really amazing. And something like Friend can be used all year long for a lot of occasions. So I really, really love it. Now I'm going to just do another dry fitting of my mechanism to mark out what how much of the toast is actually visible by the time it's fully revealed and how much is hidden, because I want to stamp a sentiment but I don't want it to be visible when this is fully inside the toaster. So I put a little pencil mark there, and then I want to make sure that when you pull it up all the way that the entire sentiment is visible. So so that's why I made the two little pencil marks, and then I just stamped out a simple little sentiment that's from the This Calls for Toast stamp, and it does have a coordinating die set. So I also added a second layer of the toast to the back, and I figured that can be where I write a little handwritten message for this card. Okay, so now we can start to assemble and put together our card because all of our elements are now complete. And we're going to start off with the mechanism. So the key to where you can place adhesive is that it can go everywhere that your pull tab mechanism and anything that needs to move. So long as your adhesive, and I'm using some foam here, as long as your adhesive doesn't impede the movement of the slider mechanism and the items that are meant to move, like the piece of toast and the lever that's on the pull tab, you can put foam there. So what that means is on one side of this slider mechanism, I am going to attach the slice of toast. This slice of toast is wider than my slider mechanism. So really the only place that I can put adhesive foam is at the bottom. So I've used some black foam adhesive at the bottom of this toast Don't worry, that might seem like it's not a lot of adhesive to keep this secured, but this whole mechanism is going to be sandwiched inside this card, so it will ultimately be plenty, plenty secure. You're gonna see how much foam I add to this, and it's quite a lot. So then on the side that you're looking at, the slider mechanism, it can really go around the top, right, and bottom because our lever, the toaster lever that's attached to a pull tab, it will extend out to the left. And then I'm going to add foam to the toaster, behind the toaster, like right on the toaster base itself. Now, one of the things is that I'm using actually 2 layers of foam, because remember, there's 1 layer of foam to attach the toast, and then I've got a second layer of foam on top of my slider mechanism. So anywhere that you see the card base, there's actually 2 layers of foam stacked together. Now, on my slider mechanism below the pull tab, there's 1 layer of foam, and that's only there to add a little bit of support, to have something below the slider mechanism to support it. I'm actually not going to release or pull off the release paper so that, because I don't want that to stick to anything. We want the pull tab to move across it. So it's really just there to help the pull tab not wiggle too much back and forth. And then I want to just double check that everything still moves. So you can see when the piece of toast moves up, our lever moves up. So that means that you can use either the toast or the lever to control this mechanism. And because I used all these little itty bitty square foam pieces, it took quite a while actually to remove all of the little bits of foam. But that's what I mean by not worrying about this being secure, because there's quite a lot of foam on here. And at the end of the day, I also put on some liquid adhesive to really make sure that it is well stuck down. And that's it. The last bit of detail will be to add the dial to the front. And as well, I'm going to add the lights that I made. And so you can kind of see if there's any places that feel like they could use a little bit of support. Like underneath this lever here, I found a space that could use a little extra bit of foam. I just kind of squeezed that in there. And otherwise, my card is nearly complete. Now, I did want to also show you the lights that I made. So once I have this glued down, I'll get the dial all nice and set there. And then these have dried. I made them earlier and set them aside to dry. So these are the little circles that have colored cardstock, a layer of vellum, and then I put on top of that some diamond glaze, and it created this really lovely shiny effect. And the vellum keeps it a little bit frosted almost, so that it kind of looks like frosted plastic. And I love how that turned out, because they really do look like lights from an old style toaster. So that's what it looks like on the front. Here's what it looks like on the back. And I love the sentiment, "Friends are the family we choose." And finally, here's how you can operate it. So you can use the lever on the side to actually slide that toast up. And this is a really nice just because, maybe to send to a friend who you appreciate. And whether they pull the toast up from the slice of toast itself, or they realize that they can use the lever, I think either way works great. It's really fun. The more you play with it, the easier it will slide up and down the track. I hope that you enjoyed my card today, and I'll leave links to everything in the description box below if you want to check out the cut cardstock that I used or the Trinity stamps and die sets that I used. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.